Okay, so another question I have. There was this. I had a conversation with somebody like a while ago, and he was like, "I mean, do you think it's possible to actually market a product on zero budget?" And I thought about it. Like, I don't see how that is. I don't see that, as something that is possible. But what do you think?
Okay, so first of all, that terminology, market a product, what does it mean? We got that thing from the bank. So yes, you can sell a product on zero budget. Okay. That's how people who are really entrepreneurial just smell what sells. In fact, there was an era where marketing did not exist, right? Where people just went to a country and put products and then charge people to sell the product, sell it whether they need it or not, but it was not sustainable because there is a point where people say, I really don't need this thing. It doesn't serve any purpose, which is where marketing comes in, understanding what people need before you bring it to market. Do you get?
Yeah.
So yes, you can sell. What you want to say is, can you go to market as a business without zero budget for creating a process of creating awareness and all of that? You can, especially if you are buying and selling.
Okay.
Right? Because we are in a country where people wake up on Tuesday morning, for example, and go to Aswani. And there are people who wake up, to buy stuff, right? Yeah. And there are people who wake up on Tuesday morning and go to Aswani to sell stuff. They just pack everything they can lay their hands on and dump it, and people buy according to what they think they need, right? So, where is the marketing in all of that? It's almost zero budget. Yeah. So it's about understanding. Is it to go to market with a business? Yes, you can. You can sell without having a budget for marketing, but it is not sustainable if you're going to try to create a brand for yourself. If you're going to differentiate, if you're going to position, you can't do that without a budget. So for your continuity, for your brand positioning, for creating an image, you need a budget and you need a consistent budget. Because the ideal thing is if you do marketing right for a consistent period of time, your sales become irrelevant. That's what they say, but you don't need to put effort trying to convince people to buy. That's the idea behind marketing, because one, you've brought the product that they need. Two, you've given them at a price they can pay. You've put it in the places where it's convenient for them to pick, and they are well aware of your brand. When you do that very well over a period of time, then you've created a brand for yourself.
So it's safe to say that marketing is long-term.
It's long-term and it's not sales. It's just safe to understand that marketing is not selling.
So, okay, sales is like what you do with
whatever you've brought out, right?
Yeah.
So you can always enter a road and start forcing people, try your best and all of that. But marketing is what you do so that salesperson doesn't need to spend so much time convincing people to buy.
Okay. I know that this is your space, but what would you say is your favorite marketing phrase?
I think I just said it, right? If you do your marketing so well, sales becomes irrelevant. That's one of the things I like to remember. It's not, again, I don't want to be quoted on that because there's a way it is phrased. But one thing there's a phrase I coined, or a sentence I coined recently when I spoke with students at Covenant. One of the things that I challenge myself as a marketer, and I think that's my inquisitiveness, right, in marketing, is to understand that marketing is prone to change. And that's because the most important element in marketing is your consumer. And consumers are human beings. Human beings change. As long as the consumers can change, our processes in marketing can change. What we all need to do as marketeers is to make sure we are the ones influencing the change. That's my favorite phrase.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hashtag Motunrayo Babalola.
But can you say it again?
Okay. So you want me to say it again?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give it a try. So the singular most important element in marketing is the consumer.
Okay.
Consumers are prone to change. As long as consumers can change, marketing will tend to change. Our task as marketeers is to ensure that we are the ones influencing that change.
Okay. What are those things that you see business, or what are the marketing mistakes you see businesses make online? Those ones that really make you cringe, like
the ones that make me really cringe. Number one will be inconvenient parts to purchase. Right? DM me for price. That's the most.
Okay, I have to repent.
DM for price is. I know people say it a lot and say, it's very annoying. They say it as part of a banter, but as a marketer, I'll tell you why it is even beyond banter, right? It's because there is a funnel between when you create awareness to when you convince people to try. There's a whole process. I can't run you through that right now, but there's a process. Like, it's a process they will teach you in any business school. There's a process between creating awareness and convincing people to try. The fact that people are aware of your products does not mean they will try it. They go through a whole journey before they get to purchase. Now, when they get to purchase and you make it difficult for them to purchase, they switch off. So if you are a small business, I think that's one thing to address. Except, again, and that's where marketing is beautiful, if you are extremely exclusive, if you've created such a position for yourself in the market, in your category, such that you are so exclusive, it may work for you. It may even be a very good marketing tactic for you. But Shalewa, if there are 20 of you, especially online, because the moment you search for a product or you attempt to buy a product, the moment you are not able to close, even when you close the purchase of that product, every time you go on your explore page on any platform, you start to see numerous ads of that same product. So the moment you're closing your purchase is difficult, you've not just lost a potential customer, you've helped another person get a customer, because I'm just going to go somewhere else and click and transfer and purchase. Right? So if I'm to speak to SMEs online and all of that, that will be the number one critical one. Even the second one is still about closing purchase. Making your purchase seamless is very important. So if you need to invest behind it, because I see that quite a number of small businesses are doing very well, integrating with WhatsApp, integrating with Paystack, the USSD method is so fast now. The other part is also your response time. If you're upset that your business opens at 8 and it closes by 8 a.m. and closes by 8 p.m., it's best that you stick to it. Because again, somebody chats you at 9 a.m. because you don't have a physical store where people knock on your shop and then you are inside. 9 a.m., you don't respond till 5 p.m. Who is sitting in front of their phone trying to buy a turban and waiting till 5 p.m. The turban they want to use for wedding tomorrow, those are the conversations I would say really hurt, because as a company, you understand that these things have to be, if you are not on shelf, if you don't see my product on shelf, you don't see Bt.3 on shelf the first time, the second time, sometimes you may be tempted to switch. I pray you never, and that's my job. That's why I need to ensure that I'm always on shelf. It's the same way with when you are an online business. The third one will be language, right? Language. People say anything to sell, and what they don't realize is they are not creating a position for themselves in the market. And by market, I mean the mind of the consumer. You just come and start shouting cheap, 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 cheap. Oh, cheapest, to have the cheapest you. Language, there is a way to drive value without degrading your product or making, the person who is buying it feel like they are cheap. So don't forget, your consumer is very important, how you make them feel through the process. So yes, you might get people buying, but then one day they are like, oh God, I'm bougie. And they move on from your very cheap brand, So it's important you understand the language that you want to be consistent with your brand when you're creating it. What would be the other? There was one, yes. The other one would also be, the fourth one would also be inconsistency in the way you present your brand. Not just posting content without any form of thought process. Right? A lot of businesses do it. It's okay, again, if you are selling commodity, you buy shoes from China, post it anyhow, it's okay. But if you created your own product or your own service, it would be nice if you can create a calendar, create your distinct colors, distinct fonts, the things that make your consumers identify you easily, right? That's what will differentiate you.
So you have to create it and stay with it. Consistent.
And so whenever there is a change, I mean, if Coca-Cola started to write in caps lock, you will know that somebody had, but if they had to do it, they will need to do a proper PR and announce it to the world. That's what you should be thinking about when you're thinking about your brand.
So one thing I've picked from everything you said so far is the fact that, where SMEs actually don't put a thought process to, I think that would be like one of the major things that, like SMEs actually don't put a thought process to, marketing and even sales, because, where if you're able to make people aware of your product and at the point of purchase, they are unable to close the deal, then it means that you've wasted all the resources you've invested. It's a waste on your part at the end of the day. Okay. So my next question, we're at a time where, I remember a few years ago, like on Instagram, like it was, people were putting out content, but it wasn't everybody. Content has now it has become so cheap to create that it's everywhere. Like even I'm just on Instagram, I'm like, I'm tired, But how can you stand out with content marketing?
Okay. So let me first put a clause. I'm not an expert when it comes to content marketing. In fact, I'm just about to start a 6-month program to really, really understand that space.
Okay.
Not like I plan to be a content developer, but to answer your question is to, first of all, I've created what exactly you want to be remembered for as a blueprint before you go into content. So yes, you're right. Content is everywhere, and they say content is king, right? So I see the pressure on a lot of SMEs to post and bombard us. But I also see that some SMEs get the concept right once and they stick with it. I also struggle for my own marketing with Motun whole thing with content. It's a lot. But once you understand, if you see my content, for example, it's mine. It was intentional because I have a brand playbook and I'm a human being. It's not like I'm even selling anything yet, right? If you have a brand, a product you are selling, create a book that talks about what that product represents. And it's such that once you have that sorted, you can always give it to someone and the person can create content for you. In creating content, one of the things you should be looking at is what is the message or how do you want people to feel when they interact with your page, right? How contagious is what you are bringing out? There are ways to switch it, right? Don't tell anybody. Everybody wants to know. What don't you want us to tell everybody? So think about how contagious is what I'm going to put out there. How How does it make people feel? How emotionally connecting is it? When Nike puts out a campaign, we all just, all of the emotions are there. So those are the things. Understand the elements of making your content relevant to the people consuming it, so they don't just flip away. Also understand the media guidelines for whatever channel you're posting. I'll tell you what I mean. Before we had this session, I had asked you, how many minutes is YouTube, is a YouTube video that is impactful? Every channel actually has, for Instagram, it's 6 seconds.
Do you know that?
Actually, yeah, it is. So that's why when people put all of those, there are plenty content on Instagram, I'm just like, who do you think is watching this to the end? Except for the Nkechi blessings and even those ones. I personally can't watch a video beyond 4 seconds. I don't care what you are telling me about. I've moved on, right? It's Instagram. I didn't come here to study, right? I could watch a YouTube video because sometimes I actually want to watch something, maybe talk or something. It can be a music video itself. That's why I'm there. But if I'm on Instagram, I'm just scrolling. I'm trying to scroll and see as many things I've missed out on as soon as possible. So what will make somebody stop on their track?
And give you that
and give you the attention, right? The other thing is for people who are selling products, understanding when I need a new pair of shoes, what would I search for? Shoes in Lagos, right? So I'm putting all of this out there because those are the things I understand from working in brands, right?
Yeah.
But if you tell me practically, I also, like if you ask me practically, I also struggle with content, and it's a struggle I see with a lot of SMEs. I just hope that we can all continue learning the best ways. But all of those that I've said, understanding the media guidelines, understanding exactly how you want people to feel, the action you want them to take before you put the content out, they are very important.
Okay.